What up, my freaks? RuinusInsight here with part 17 of my Total War Warhammer 3 modded Karl Franz Old World campaign. So as we saw last time, the baldening is upon us as Volkmar the Grim has been confederated, a man who is so much faith in Sigmar that all his hair fell out. That's his canon, I'm telling you. You just have to take my word for it. Anyway, the territory that we got from him is very far away from our main territories, but it will be the staging ground for our crusade into the territories of Manfred, into the, well, actually, I guess the southern Badlands, not just the desert, of taking out the Poxmakers. There's a lot of stuff we can do here, and I'm willing to bet that this is all also Arcan, Nakari, Scaven. There's a lot of crusading to be done, is what I'm getting at, and we will need many armies to do it, which is great, because we have a bunch still planned to send out there. We are also relatively close, I noticed, to the challengers of Corn, so maybe we could send somebody to deal with Arbal. He's not really a threat to us, and frankly, getting to us would be very difficult due to the fact that these cliffs are impassable in the sense that they can't sail out of there. They'd have to... I actually can't tell whether you can land here. I'm going to assume that you can land here, but you can't land here. Yeah, okay, so this is probably landable and this is not. But either way, he's unlikely to go for us, but at the same time, he is near enough to us so that it might warrant a little bit of fighting. Anyway, in terms of what we got to do this particular episode / this particular turn, I think that we pretty much finished everything, and the only... Oh, right, I remember now. The Aldium attack, I did that between the episodes as promised because we had already won the fight and the game just wasn't letting us auto-resolve it, especially with the game's penchant for killing off our precious Wissenberg's welcomers and, well, I guess generally all of our war wagons. And as soon as we end the turn, we're probably going to get a very major fight against the Red Duke here, so that'll be pretty fun. Let's do a quick round of naming before we do, just because I had intended to do so last episode, or possibly... Yeah, okay, especially in Dolph's army, because, well, he's certainly earned it at this point. Alright, so let's do some of the Outriders first. Outriders, you can be Frontier Watchers. Dolph has certainly earned it. And the Spurhawks, there we go. And then let's do one of the Noble Sons Abroad. You can be Dolph's Desperados. Lovely. Okay, we could do so. Well, you know what? We can do it over the course of the episode rather than. Well, you know, let's do that steam tank that I was intending to name because it's also been doing pretty nice in this particular army. You steam tank with Hellblaster. You shall be Spirit of Man. Damn it, man. And there we go. We only have 2 steam tanks on the field right now because we don't have capacities for more, and at least won't for about 6 turns. 4 turns, actually, I lied. But for now, at least they're all named. Anyway, with that, we're going to skip the damage building, skip the Lord Not Move. There's plenty of those. And let's end the turn and see how the Red Duke fares, or how we fare against him. Well, that's not the Red Duke. I honestly completely forgot that we were besieging Brionne as well, but this is good that they've sallied out. A, because they've got a pretty solid stack with all those Black Orcs, Biggins, Giants, and all of that sort of stuff, and Orc Arrow Boys absolutely not to be underestimated due to the sheer power and surprising amount of armor-piercing missile damage. I believe I made a comparison in the, I think it was the Gorbad campaign, where we noted that the Orc Arrow Boys have more armor-piercing than Imperial crossbows, which is surprising. But that's how strong those mushroom muscles are. But anyway, all that aside, should be a fun fight. Get going.
Lady Verena has granted me the wisdom to craft the finest instruments of war. And Sigmar gives us the courage to fell our foes with them.
Yeah, see, this guy's so much quieter than Elspeth when he's making his speech, and it bothers me. Anyway, here we go. Maybe I'll keep this guy on the mechanical steed. I do kind of like the fact that there are 3 of them on the mechano steeds here. It's kind of neat. Anyway, we got a big old pile of orcs against us. We'll see how it goes in theory. This is not a run-and-gun army, but the long gun army has plenty of units that can sort of move up and fire those long guns at close distance, so that's what we're gonna do. We also have a double Hunter's Talons, was it? An ability or a item that gives us the Amber Spear, which we just used to kill the enemy Lord or Black Orc and Big Boss or whatever it was, with a couple of volleys. Otherwise, the Outriders and the long gun war wagons will continue sniping the enemy all the way towards our main line, which is waiting all the way back here. But the first element, specifically the Gunderman's Surefires, which are basically Hawkland long rifles but better, will begin firing away. And on top of that, the Gundermans have that slowdown ability, which is why we wanted to pop them into this army as well. So they have the Stagger Shot, which especially when combined with suppression from the other units really do some nasty slowing. 6 movement speed on the Boar Boys. Granted, it's not a slowdown army, so not a lot of units in this army have the slowdown capabilities. And while we can do a slowdown army if we want to, admittedly, it's seeming like it's not necessarily needed, as at least against one stack, generally speaking, it seems the regular armies have enough slowdown capability on their own. But anyway, we've got a lot of enemies to gun down. Also got to remember we don't have any mages here, so it's just good old-fashioned gunfire. There we go, the Hawkland long rifles have now joined the Gundermans in terms of firing away at the enemy. And admittedly, we could pop the long rifles a little bit closer to the enemy army and hide them in trees, but I felt it wasn't really needed here, as the enemy would be following our main line for a long time as they move towards them. I'm gonna get those mercurial shots out of our units of engineers, while we keep firing away at the enemy, who continue to attempt to move towards us. About 2.5 minutes of straight firing at the enemy so far. And well, to their credit, they're still moving. We are going to try to focus down the critical targets, i.e. the fast movers first, and then the archers second, and then the sort of regular orc boys and the Biggins, Black Orcs, whatever the enemy has. Those aren't going to be nearly as critical, because they're going to take a longer time to get to us. That said, they will go into range. Ooh, nice Amber Spear will get the enemy shaman out there. We probably got a few more in store if we can land them. There comes another one. Oh, and it smashes right into the edge of the tree. Unfortunate, but well, we do have the war wagons to help out, and the war wagons will make that shaman disappear. And there we go. I see the enemy has at last drawn close enough. These silver bullets, which, oh right there, Yag Battalion number 5 has been renamed and is firing away. Magical damage on them. Shield breaker, armor piercing, pretty solid. And the enemy army is not having a bad day today. Oh, you gotta love Imperial gunnery. It definitely makes it feel almost like playing, well, ironically or not ironically, Empire Total War, or Napoleon as well, I guess, with all of the cans and the gunnery. It makes sense to me. Alright, either way with that, the enemy army will shatter and the battle is ours. And not too bad at all. Took a little tiny bit of damage on a few units, but yeah, overall the enemy army got absolutely obliterated long before they managed to reach our main line, which never really needed to move. And admittedly, with 2 types or 4 total units of sniping units available to us in the Gundermans and the long shots and the other Hawkland long rifles, we've got a lot of sort of sniping fire support as we draw the enemy army towards us, which I'm going to be interested in playing around with as we go forward with this army. Ah, darn. One unit of boar boys did escape, which means we can't immediately capture the settlement. But oh well, what can you do? Hopefully it doesn't do that bug where it punts us out of the siege, as that would be particularly irritating. But I guess we'll just have to see. Still a very nice fight for Mr. Humphrey Burkert here, and he's not going to be threatened by well, prancing. It feels like a waste of resources or a waste of oil. No feed, just oil, after all. But anyway, waste of oil to make the mechanical horse just keep prancing non-stop like this. Thing's going to run out of fuel. But anyway, as I was saying, a rather lovely fight. Technically speaking, it's not a run and gun army, but a stationary army. However, against only a single stack, our fast-moving elements are able to dish out a lot of hurt at the enemy, and it's more efficient to have them close and do the distance while on the approach to the main gun line. After all, anyway, we will take the money. 4,000, not bad. Alright, there we go. He will indeed sally out. Heroic victory, casualties low, eh? It looks like the AI is finally starting to pay attention to the strength of this army, and not just giving us a horrific auto-resolve. Anyway, we are obviously going to fight this, and this might actually be one of the situations where the auto-resolve is lying in our favor. The enemies have a lot of fast movers. 2 units, 4 units, 5 units of Black Knights, 4 units of Flyers, Fell Bats. We got the Karen Wraiths, we got the Doggos, of course we got the Red Duke, who is on a flying mount rather than on a dragon, which would, well, I mean, I guess technically they're both flying, you know what I mean. He'll be able to close the distance quickly, and I'd wager the Vampirus will as well. My point is that it's very easy for the artillery in this army to get overrun by sheer numbers. Before we start, engagement threshold more or less reached, and so again, a longer episode here, and the engagement threshold remains 400, like 60 comments. The next episode will be an hour-ish long as well. Keep showing Karl all that love. Wait. I was forgetting something. Oh, you know what? We'll talk about it later. Go. Alrighty, here we go. Oh, we're in a graveyard. Well, isn't that lovely? Perfect place to be fighting the undead, especially with with statues of Moor watching over us, offering us a sword as well. Anyway, now I didn't like the fact that the auto-resolve was saying that this was going to be a very easy fight, and you guys know I like to give the AI a sporting chance on occasion, and so we've deployed in a disadvantageous manner on purpose. Rather than deploying here, which would be the best place to deploy, because the enemy would take a long time to get to us. Very good thing to do when you want to split the enemy army up, especially the very slow-moving undead. And obviously, this is a big old patch of clear ground. Instead, we've deployed here at about half the distance to the enemy, so the enemy only has to walk half as much as it would have if we had deployed here. This, I think, gives the enemy a much greater chance of overrunning our lines, and obviously they won't be under fire from our artillery nearly as long. Let's hope that makes it a little bit more difficult and makes it an interesting fight, rather than whatever easy fight the auto-resolve was predicting. Anyway, we got gun smoke all over the place as the Hellblasters are firing away 4-second reload, and a bunch of them. They are just lovely to watch, you gotta admit. Gotta love those Hellblasters. Beautiful. And of course the mortars firing away, and unlike the Hellblasters, the mortars do take advantage or do get buffs in this particular army, so they fire considerably faster than they otherwise might. If you're wondering where the Red Duke is, he's already dead. Well, I guess he was already dead. You know what I mean. The 2 of the Hellblasters simply sniped him away. Now, we do have to intercept some of the more annoying enemy elements, especially since we deployed close to the enemy army, and thus we don't have a lot of time to actually gun them down from the skies, so we're going to send our flyers to deal with the enemy Vargeists up in the sky. Fortunately, Vargeists are really fragile, and a single lord can probably take those 2 units without too much trouble. Actually, I think it would probably take longer to kill a unit of bats, though, funnily enough, a unit of bats is well on the way, so we're going to have to deal with them too, as well as the other unit of Vargeists, but fortunately we do have our other Empire Captain to help out with that sort of thing. First unit of Vargeist is down to 10% of its HP and is now attempting to, I guess, try to run away from our Lord and his Griffin. But we can just leave them to melt as we head for the second unit of Vargeists. Our artillery, both mortar and hellblaster alike, continue to fire, but by deploying so close, well, relatively close, to the enemy, it does look like they are certainly having their chance to actually reach us. Certainly more than when this army recently fought those orcs and obliterated pretty much everything at a distance. This way, we should get some action for the spears. Now, these are the weaker versions of the spears, in the sense that they've only got 60 armor and stuff. Obviously, we don't have a lot of Empire Captains and other buffs for them here. And thus, we do need to be careful. Hopefully, I don't overdo it. But we'll see with this deployment. The Graveguard will beat them in a melee because they're heavily armored, and they've got a lot of armor piercing available to them, especially on their halberds and greatswords, and we, conversely, do not. And that is a lot of enemies, especially over on the left flank. Still a lot of fast movers remaining, and a decent amount on the right flank as well, including more Cairn Wraiths and several units of Black Knights. Looks like some doggos have attempted to ride around, or run around, and are going to be intercepted by a hero of ours, our engineer. Not supporting, unfortunately, thus our artillery pieces, but he really needs to stop these guys rather than allow them to run on in. Plus, he'll block them off and allow the Grundle's defenders, which do buff artillery and war machines with that nice physical resistance plus 20, which is another reason we'll want to put 2 tanks in this army to actually get them to benefit from that as well, and make a heck of a tip of a spear. But anyway, the left flank is starting to look like it's getting overrun as more and more zombies, graveguard, bats, whatever, undead are marching towards them and continue to do so. We do need to intercept those Cairn Wraiths as well, as Cairn Wraiths will absolutely obliterate units of halberds or pikemen if we're not careful, but fortunately our General of the Empire has that Mace of Hellstorm and thus has magical damage available to him. And I guess the only unit in this army that does, so we really need him to deal with the Cairn Wraiths. Bounce of Power is in our favor, certainly, but it's starting to get more and more dangerous as the first of the enemy units starting to move on in and block off our artillery pieces. Just going to have to keep firing for as long as we can, and then when they're more in danger, I guess set them up to black the artillery crews off. Nice charge from those Black Knights, past with at least a couple of the units, the pikes that were blocking them, or spears that were blocking them, and into the Hellblasters behind them. And thus we're going to have to use the war wagons in another way. One of the nice things about things like war wagons and war sleds are they're bigger units, and they have a decent amount of mass, and you can use them to essentially block enemies off. They are fragile, and they will get torn to shreds, but it will allow us to sort of move other units in, especially as we've got several units at this point that are either routing or terrified and running away due to the fear and terror from the enemy. Alright, our front line is on the verge of being overrun, and our artillery, more importantly, are on the verge of being overrun too, as the enemy makes their way through the gaps in our lines. I'm going to have to back the first of our artillery crews off. We got a couple of them backing off and are now off of the artillery pieces. The bounce power remains in our favor, but this is a big pile of enemy units. If these spears should rout over on the flanks, or the halberds should rout or get terrified away, the enemy will simply run past them and move towards our unprotected, effectively, artillery, with the exception of the Grundle's defenders. Although they're not even in the center anymore, they're trying to hold off a unit of enemy Black Knights, doing it with gusto, I might add, Slaneshi giggle, as the enemy Black Knights are down to like 50% of their HP, and the Grundle's defenders are relatively unharmed. But a pretty solid unit, and more heavily armored than our other shielders as well, or spears, whatever. And again, I do really like the Black Knights in the woods like this. They, I don't know, the balefire glow, it's fantastic. Maybe it's just my bias talking, but maybe it isn't. Maybe it genuinely is fantastic. Anyway, I'm gonna have to keep holding those guys up, but we've got a zombie unit, and this was in fact a summoned unit. An army ability has spawned an enemy unit. I don't know what this came from. Was this Face of Death? It was Face of Death, okay, yeah. It's an army-bound ability. And they summoned it on top of these guys. Well, that's unfortunate for us. One unit of war wagons have routed, 2 units of spears are running. Several of our war wagons are damaged. Another unit of spears is about to go. And our artillery are now down to 2. They haven't been destroyed or overrun. We've simply backed the crews off and sent them to hide in the woods while we try to fight the rest of the enemy off. We are having to continuously also use this poor engineer in melee, as we just don't have the numbers here. Obviously it's 1 stack against 2 to hold off the enemy melee. But hey, you gotta admit, deploying poorly, I mean, I don't like to always do it because it, but on occasion, certainly makes for a fun fight. And it's not like it was a horrifically bad deployment. Like I'm not deliberately sabotaging myself too much. It's just that it didn't allow the artillery to fire nearly as long as they would have liked. But nonetheless, anyway, the balance of power is still in our favor and has been in our favor this entire time. But the enemy are not going after several of the war wagons, even if the Hellblasters have stopped firing by and large, and thus the mortars continue to drop shells in the blobs of units everywhere. Our artillery crews, we need them to help out, so we're going to send them into the melee to try to help with the zombies and whatever other units, by and large by, rear charging enemies, trying to get a few of those morale shocks going. And it looks like the morale shocks are enough. The enemy army is starting to melt away right on time. The Cairn Wraiths destroyed by our Griffin, and very, very close fight. Of course, we still have to knock out the last of the Graveguard, who did pretty well here. This one unit alone has 43 kills. But I mean, great weapon, great Graveguard against regular spears is a pretty terrible matchup. But again, it does feel appropriate because, you know, Imperial armies would be primarily made up of spears, crossbows, and halberds. And swords. As in swordsmen. Basic Empire state troops, not like Elector count state troops, but state troops. Rather than elites. And that's why I like to keep a lot of the sort of weaker units around into the late game, especially since SFO makes them a fair bit more viable, but it also feels more realistic within the game setting. And of course, I demand realism from my Warhammer titles. Anyway, the battle is just about ours, getting a few last hits in from our Griffin there, / Empire General, who I'm sure is putting in the work. Clearly. Not taking all the credit for what the Griffin did, but anyway, with that, the last of the enemies melt away, and the battle is ours, a Pyrrhic victory. Beautiful. If anything to prove the auto-resolve wrong. There we go, that's what I'm talking about. I absolutely loved that battle. Our army, our position was very, very nearly overrun, and while obviously this army still warrants a steam tank or two in order to, or possibly replace some of these guys with cannons because they don't take advantage from the Lord's buffs, and maybe a little bit more armor for the spears, some Eldred's Guard. The main thing that this army really needs is something to offer immunity to psychology for the main line, because spears routing, running away terrified of whatever undead moves towards them is obviously very dangerous when they have such a big artillery train to protect. Nonetheless, we managed to pull it off, even if we had to put our Hellblaster volley gun crews into melee. But it's always a sign of a great battle when you're forced to use your artillery crews in melee, so I really enjoyed that. More damage on the halberdiers than pretty much all of the the spears, but that's hardly surprising because the spears have very little, if any, armor piercing, and the vast majority of the enemy were Graveguard. In fact, that was a lot of Graveguard. Good for them. Anyway, very, very nice fight for Waldemar here. We'll occupy Mousillon for not so much ourselves, but to trade, but eventually this will give us a lot of worth, I think. Alright, there we are. Bowmen of Orion destroyed, presumably by High Queen Khalida. Charmed shield for Humphrey Burkert. I guess we can hold on to it for now. Oh, hello, we got another army moving towards Waldemar. Huh. I imagine that it would run if we tried to go for it, but who knows? You might attempt to move towards it anyway. Oh, you are damaged, so maybe that would prevent it from running. And we do want to grab the Silent Isle to trade it to Bordeaux. Frankly, it would have been nice to have Bordeaux for ourselves because of the Bordeaux wine market, and 144 wine barrels for a faction like ours, which is very trade-centric. We can see that our trade income is almost as much as our straight-up building income. And then, of course, the tradable resources produced out of Manan's dry docks, but we're probably not going to get their capital, so yeah. Steam tank for Humphrey, yes, you've earned it, sir. And Barded Warhorse for some guy. Okay, good job, some guy. Good job. And, ooh, okay, it did not punt us out of Castle Brionne, which is great because we now get to capture it for, we will quick save it because war wagons. Ah, game, why did you do this? Auto resolve. Okay, the war wagons didn't die to the, like, 11 boar boys, but you know what? I wouldn't have been surprised if they had. There we go. Castle Brionne is now ours. Now, out of curiosity, how much is this worth to you? Castle Brionne is worth 240 versus Castle... I believe it was Montfort. No, it was not Montfort. It was Castle Paravent, which we cannot trade because we have to first trade Sanglac and other things. All right, fine. If you're gonna be that way. Let's build a military structure here. I guess we could eventually replace you with a military structure, but, well, we'll see how much it's worth. Grand Set. How much is Grand Set worth? 114. Alrighty, that's not bad. And we could obviously trade Grand Set for Castle Sanglac, but Sanglac is barely worth anything. It's Gruner that we're going to be more concerned with. And you're not willing to give us Gruner either, are you? You are not. Okay, well then. Well then. We're gonna have to figure that out. You are headed up to the Orky territories, and if you can grab those, then that will sort of solve the problem for us. Bidouze is part of Bordelot Errant's territory, eh? We're not at war with Deathmaster Snitch right now, are we? I mean, we will be, but we're not right now. No, we're not. Oh, wow. Strength rank 40, settlements 11. That's pretty good. Where's Clan Scryer? Oh, we haven't discovered them yet. That's probably a good thing. Don't want to be dealing with their nukes right now. Humphrey, that was your movement range, eh? The max of it. I would have loved for you to take Torbidouz before one of these guys did, but, well. Anyway, let's start from the top, shall we? Now, Karl, I wanted you to go after Throt the Unclean, who is, by the looks of it, causing a little bit of havoc up here. I've actually lost sight of Throt's main stack. He's probably sitting in one of these stairs. Oh, wow, Prague has fallen. That's not great. That's not great at all. And, oh, wow. These guys are losing their territory, too. Damn, Valkia, you've nearly destroyed the... whatever these dwarfs are called. Well, like I said, I think last episode, the problem with the Empire is that nobody else has their house in order, and, okay. You didn't sack Karakadrin, did you? No, it looks like they're going past it. Man, we keep shadowing these guys, and now that they've retaken Oakenhammer, I think you're going to have to go back this way. Oh, it's quite annoying, but it is what it is. Maybe we should pop you down to Girardin in case... Yeah, I think that's what we'll do. We'll pop you into Girardin as soon as Marius stops moving. And then hopefully, once we redeclare war on Clan Grutnik, I'm really kicking myself for piecing out with them because it once again prevented us from being able to redeclare war on them. Because we definitely have to knock those guys out. Also, what do we have here? Open the gates and... Well, we will have open the gates available to us if these guys come in and attack us, but that's a pretty solid stack, whereas this one is pretty meh. Maybe I should have just used open the gates and had them attack Oakenhammer immediately. Well, we could always still do that and then move them into reinforce, can't we? Wait, no, not open the gates. It was send aid, which we don't have right now. Okay, what the heck am I talking about? If I sounded crazy there, well, There's a good reason for that. Casus Belli would allow us to declare war on Sylvania, which we will eventually do, and take that province for ourselves, but right now we're busy. Anyway, that doesn't stop Karl from still having to move. He's already taken the defeat trait from Throggy. I'm tempted to just grab Fort Elfegsny here. Yeah, no, let's just do that real quick. We're gonna trade all this to these guys anyway, just want to make sure that the enemy doesn't have another territory that they can rebuild with here. So I'll resolve this for obvious reasons, and occupy it. And then nice Wailing Banner, and then we'll move southward or to wherever Throt is to acquire his defeat trait next. Got a host Festag for now, keep building some basic buildings of military type, and... Man, these guys really keep wanting to fight this army, don't they? Ooh, speaking of this army, yo, Kurtzak, you must deliver those land ships right there. Alright, they're about 2 turns away, lovely. And you're on march stance, yes? Yes. Alright, next up we got Toddy Boy. Toddy Boy, you're gonna move towards this mysterious island, then you're gonna pop into the army there, Ulrich Pappenheimer.
Items of power, come.
Go on now. And that more or less completes the army. I may take out one of the Wolfkin and replace them with the White Wolves, although it will bother me that we only have one range unit in this army. It's gonna be kind of weird. I might be tempted to make a second Ulrich army with Ice Guard, Huntsman, White Wolves, more Wolfkin and stuff, led by the Hunts Marshal. Or not the Hunts Marshal, but a Huntsmaster General or Huntsman General, whatever. You can go those who escaped, I guess? Well, I mean, you will be fighting soon. This will help you with the auto-resolve, so let's go Mathland's Blessing. And just out of curiosity, yeah, there's no islands over here. Alright, so you're going north now. And you're gonna have to land and deal with those orcs. We've also got 2 tech thieves here, which can function as scouts in addition to functioning as tech thieves. But they do have to land in different territories. So Ice Drake Fjord is part of this one, so you can land here and then you can land there. Oh, and we do have another island out here. 1 material, let's see. I mean, we already got 1, so it's already pretty good, but, you know, more materials, let's see, would be nice as well. Anyway, Stefan, you are nearly done, or at least nearly ready. Got another Holy Warrior here. Ugh. Haven't been super happy with the traits that we've been lucking into here. We give it 1 more shot, though. And then we gotta send Kessel out. And to do his thing. But anyway, Dolph, I'm back to doing stuff in order. You were going to go to Gnashrak's Lair, were you not? Which is not their capital. I'm a little bit concerned about the ability to auto-resolve it, because the auto-resolve doesn't like this army. Pyrrhic victory for this. Alright, we'll probably manually fight this. Wait, unless this is a minor settlement. Oh. It doesn't have walls, but I assume, yeah, it will be a minor settlement battle, which doesn't allow this army to run in guns, so yeah, maybe that one will actually be worth fighting. But let's see what else we've got before we choose our next fight. Now, Gavin can't reach any new place. What he can, however, do is move into raiding stance and start moving towards Karazakarak, which we will need to reclaim. See if these guys are rebuilding any army here. Not as yet, but they got some pretty solid defenders there, so probably worthy of a fight when we get there. Jurgen, you're probably gonna fight as well. Okay, everybody's pretty much in a position to fight. Alright, let's see what this army says. Well, actually, after we level. Let's level and then see what the army says. You did auto-resolve after all. And we get 5 points, we could get you straight into Indomitable. And you know what, once again, I was so impressed with that jumping attack that this guy had last episode that we definitely gotta level him up. Alright, Gotrek, what about you? Why don't you do something fancy like that? Because that was a fancier attack than anything I've seen out of Gotrek, and he's supposed to be a legendary hero rather than some rando. But anyway, Rune of Grimnir for you for obvious reasons. Need the extra mass to be able to push through enemy infantry. And I think, yeah, we could probably use training. So we'll go for training and then into Blade Masters, start pumping up your numbers. I don't actually dislike the idea of having laboratory in this place because it'll give us chances to get additional buffs before we trade. Let's also grab for Kirsten. You're always in the midst of infantry brawls. I don't really care about Glorified Sentry, however, the hero self-defense chance. I don't actually know whether this works for the army or only applies to the legendary hero, because if it only is that, then it isn't actually particularly useful. Let's just grab Mark of Hish and Sigmar's Ward and then go through this after. Just want to get all these sort of special points in the line, or the unique line. We want to be able to overcast Pit of Shades, so let's get to that. And we want to be able to overcast Venerable Pendulum for the additional armor piercing, so we'll get that. Then, Jurgen, I'm going to push on towards Svengar. What does this say? Close victory, but casualties low. See now, that's suspicious. That's suspicious because that's the same thing that killed off our... killed off all those war wagons of ours, but this is a march stance army, which is rather weak compared to ones we've fought previously. So I'm going to quick save in case it kills all the ogres in the same way that it did the war wagons, and we're going to auto-resolve it. Let's see what it does. Honestly, that's not too bad. Auto-resolve, why can't... You can't be trusted. There is another army nearby, so we may want to heal? It is 3k, though. I guess we can risk it. It is only 10% healing. I mean, it's not like we're expecting to get much more healing than that, but anyway. And then I guess you can proceed to knock out Vashnar as well. This has probably really helped Boris Ursus, because we just knocked out like 3 or 4 armies for him. Decisive victory, casualties low. This time I think we can just auto-resolve. Alright, still a decent bit of losses, but we're fine. And then pardon the captives. And then we can sit here and heal. Gotta remember that we do have the healing bonuses out of a Felix and B out of that Forsaken Crown for 3 more turns. Pop into encamp stance while you're at it. I guess you were already at max healing, and now it looks like you can travel south for a little bit, as these guys are most likely rebuilding their armies. Scribe for Gotrek, you can hold on to it for now until we can give it to a lord. Another Scroll of Aramar, which I don't care for. Opal Amulets I do, however, as we were giving those to Warrior Priests. That gave you 3 levels. Solid. Get another point in Unwavering Discipline, mostly for the Vigor loss reduction, and then grab 2 points in Woundmaker. And get me some more of those leaping attacks. And then Gotrek, you are now ready to go into hard to hit. Take a little bit less damage, Felix. Screw it, just get Grandmaster and then Blade Master. And just max out Lethal Romancer. There we go. We still have Sigmar's Ward, but it's not super important, admittedly. At least not right now. Ulrika, you are still using Melkoths. I generally don't overcast Enfeebling Foe, as it's generally, in my opinion, not worth it, because all it does is add a little bit to the effect. It does double the duration, admittedly, but obviously with the longer cooldown, so yeah. Casting the cheap version of it is usually long enough to kill off an enemy lord. Otherwise, maybe want to put, yeah, let's get you a Prudent Defender at least. Could also probably use that armor, but I want to get you Foe Seeker, and I would like you, let's see, what else do we have here? Oh, it's not bad. Armor piercing weapon damage and weapon strength. Ooh, okay, now we need to get to staying power. 30% HP for a self-healing unit is quite nice. Yeah. And obviously we'll max out her lore as well. Anyway. Who was next? Other than Dolph, okay, I gotta try not to forget that he still has to fight. Valdemar, you... Man, I do like the fact that there are 2 islands nearby, but I guess we'll go after them later. Anyway, let us level, and now... That's a question. Do we have everything we need in the red line? Sharpshooter does nothing for us as yet, but that assumes that we don't swap out any units and modify the army in some way. Oh, actually, that reminds me. We should also build a military structure here, and a... Let's go for the stables. Whichever military structures we can to make the place worth more money to whoever we trade it to, which is probably going to be Bordelot. In fact, are you willing to take it right now? You are not. Alright, so we'll need to... Oh. Yeah, it's gonna be annoying. We'll need to somehow... Huh. It might not be possible, because I think you can't trade across the river like this. And I think I might have jumped the gun in trading Langueur de Lac. And this may be an issue for us. Hopefully we can figure it out. I guess what we can... No, that won't work either. Alright, well, there's gonna have to be some fancy switcheroos happening eventually, but anyway, that doesn't change the fact that we have to level up. We have Artillery Master, we have Strength of Hardship, the rest of this is not useful to us. Now let's go through Scarred Vet for you, and to Deadly Blade, and into Foe Seeker. Gotta be able to reposition a teensy bit faster. You are going to go through training. And then I guess lead stage... Well, you know what, let's get 1 point in Sigmar's Ward, but you really need that hard to hit, because this guy was having trouble against the bats surrounding him there. Obviously, we are the elite for the additional range damage. I guess we can get 1 point in Sigmar's Ward and then start moving through Survivalist in order to get the bonus for Powder Overlord or Black Powder or whatever it is. Anyway, go for Lorenzo Everstone. A Chilean vampire, perhaps, who will indeed run away. But how far will he... okay, yeah, we're not reaching him. Not after that little maneuver. I lied, we are reaching him. Just barely, but we are. Beautiful. Alright, and I presume that this is auto-resolvable, but we do have war wagons, and we're going to quick save it in case they die again. Do it, game. Don't kill the war wagons. Okay, no. We're fine. And in fact, I think we'll heal up this time. And just gotta land at that silent tile, and then we'll probably use this army to pick up the islands. I see 4 and 5 in quick vicinity, until we have to declare war on the on Deathmaster Snitch's Scaven. We should probably take advantage of that, which we certainly will. Anyway, that was... Okay, Theodoric Blutton is next, and it looks like these guys have taken Carrick-Herne, which may be not great. Let's start moving towards Morton's home. But I would like to still see. So, Carrick Angazar, Carrick Migdal and Galbarak. How much are you worth? Carrick Angazar is worth 107. Migdal and Galbarak is worth 57. Alright, so let's see. What about Kreutzhofen and Wusterberg? 79. 167. That's a bit steep. Alright, so we should still... Okay, let me just double check here. One of these... Yeah, okay, it's not helping the fact that they're actually still upgrading it. That's why I really wanted Carrick-Herne, but... Carrick Angazar should be worth the most, but it's not worth that much. Surprisingly, because I guess the livery isn't completed. Don't bother leveling this up. Alright, I guess what we can try to do is trade Carrick... Actually, I didn't check how much Gantuk is worth. Carrick Gantuk... Gantuk? Where are we here? There it is. 4.8, basically nothing. You're gonna save that. So, Wusterberg for Carrick von Galbarak, I guess? Let's try that.
Hail to your emperor, manlings.
Wait. Damn it. Okay, I forgot it again. So Migdal von Galbarak. Okay, yeah. Okay. Migdal von Galbarak. This is why I usually do the switcheroos between the episodes. For Wusterberg does 22. We could do it with the military alliance. However, I wanted to save that for the trade of Carrick Angazar for Kreutzhofen, which right now isn't possible, but once we leave one territory to each settlement, it might become possible. So we need to try to make Wusterberg happen.
And what can the Dawi do for you?
Let's double check it. Wusterberg for Carrick Angazar. No, wrong one. Migdal von Galbarak. With the defensive alliance, we would do it for 38k, but that's not worth it. Alright, wait, then I guess we will try to upgrade you to the next tier. Build another military structure there, or possibly there. And just gonna have to wait on it. That was always a distinct possibility. Alright. Mostly I just want to trade these away rather than killing them. That just feels wrong. Anyway, Elspeth, you, I guess, can continue pushing your way southward. Again, it wasn't what I was originally intended. Man, I can see why the Karahazakarak Dwarfs are having so much trouble. Look, they're fighting these guys, they're fighting these guys, they're fighting these guys. It's 3 Orky factions. They're fighting these guys, 4 Orky factions. These guys, 5 Orky factions, all at once, and fighting Clan Rictus at the same time. Yeah. Oh, 6 Orky factions. I forgot about the Ironclaw Works, which we've taken territory from, but they were also fighting them. Oh, poor Thorgrim. He got absolutely overrun all over. But anyway, I guess we're just going to take Barak Dawa's bag. It's a little bit of a waste of movement range, but I don't see how we can avoid it. You know what? Simon Pfeiffer, I was going to send you around this way, but I'd like you to go to Vidovdan and scout it in case there's a full stack coming in that way. I'm gonna get some use out of you that way. Anyway, we should probably still knock out Barak Dawa's bag. Can't keep him there. Oh, I should have let the tech thief move first. Break siege. That's why I usually try. Okay, we're gonna move the tech thieves as soon as I do this. Okay, auto resolve this. Quick save it because of the war wagons. It's gonna kill the war wagons. Almost completely certain that it's gonna kill the war wagons. It's a low casualty thing, and it didn't. You never know, man. It keeps you guessing. That makes it so much worse. Imperial Griffin for some guy. Okay, good job, some guy. I don't know where you are. Hey, another Fear of Aramar scroll. Okay, that's actually good because we can now combine them into another Book of Assure. Where is that Fear of Aramar? Scroll of Aramar. It's not that these are bad. The Vigor Loss Reduction is a pretty nasty hit to an enemy lord, and because it's a severe debuff, but it's just that we have limited amount of space for these types of items, the arcane items, since only wizards can carry them, and Book of Assure is just outright better. Targeting range and wins a magic power cost reduction. So we will eventually, or seek to put Book of Assure on every single wizard as we can. Probably we'll try to swap the Trickster Shards into Books of Assure as well, which will enable us to do it a lot easier. Anyway, as I was saying, we were going to move the Tech Thieves, and I still want to do that. And there should be two more here, one down here at Stone Mine Tower, and then one here at Toranrock. There we go, and I believe that's all of them, yes? Yes. Alright, now. Philip Ivan the Crazy, you're just holding on to those guys, it's still the case. Leopold von Bildhofen, you are going to transfer those mortars. Builder, oh right, you're gonna have to, well, build. Fair enough. Okay, I don't think we want to waste the money on this tavern here, but we can do a training field here. And we'll see about the money there. You can now head into Caroburg. Caroburg, construction time and cost reduction. We will build the Common Temple here, and then Caroburg will be tier 5 shortly. We got 2 turns until we have to upgrade the Temple of Sigmar into a Grand Temple of Sigmar. You could try to move towards Tom as well, because there's a bunch of stuff you'll have to build there. Alright, you know, fine. I don't dislike that idea. Go through this, Mr. Builder. I could have gone like that, but whatever. And then try to land in Schilderheim right after, and then reduce the construction costs.
Champion of the faith.
And the construction time, obviously. There we go. Build up stuff here, and then go back to Caroburg right after. Recruiter Albrecht. Alright, let's check on those master engineers again. Nope, still ingenious and optical specialist. Though I do intend to get an optical specialist up and running. I want to wait for manorialism to get them up and running at a higher level. Wolfric, you're going to sit there until we're ready for you. Balthazar Gelt. You've taken out this Scaven clan, and while I don't care that much for Bitterstone Mine, does take your movement range? It does. Alright, go to Ekrund. You're now stopping your move south and are heading northward towards dealing with Wurzag, who is apparently going to lose his capital doing this. It's going to kill half our army. It's not worth fighting because it's a pretty basic little army. We'll risk auto-resolving it. We're fine. Alright, and we'll occupy it. I'd love to sack it, but there's a decent likelihood that we gotta make use of these territories to possibly trade to the dwarves or elves or somebody. Though I do, once again, still find it silly that for Gelt, I believe the wasteland is green, and then we confederated him, but now the people that were living there suddenly hate it. It makes no sense. It really needs to be adjusted that confederation brings the territory types that the faction that you confederated to your faction. I hope I said that in a way that makes sense, because, yeah. Anyway, Baldric Stroheim. Good. You have nearly reached this location as well. We could send you through Scaven territory as well. But I think it's more important that we grab as much of the territory out of the border princes as possible. And I also really want to, try out this army because it's been traveling for a while. Von Kessel, yeah, you're waiting for the turn. You're fine, thusly. Recruiter's fine. Lad Admiral, you're still waiting. Valmir, you're waiting. Elgar, you're waiting. Colt. Who was Colt again? Oh, right, you're just a placeholder, sort of. Holding these guys until Volkmar is ready to come back. You will want to still knock out this army, however. Murta Malratra. Murta Malratra. Interesting name. Auto-resolve this for obvious reasons. Quick save it. I don't know what the auto-resolve does to these guys, and I don't want to lose them. Why does the auto resolve have to be such a menace? Okay, yeah, it did heavily damage them, but it didn't kill them, which is good. And then you can pardon the captives. You're supposed to meet up with the other army here anyway. Pigeon Plucker Pendant, you can hold on to it for now, but we don't really need it. At least not here. Might actually freeform it into something. You can also encamp. And then you are moving to transfer. Alright, oh, what the... They're down here too? Oh, that's surprising. Considering... Yeah, I guess we kind of moved into the midst of their territory. Well, I guess we're going to lose Ashmere, which is a bit of an annoyance, so we can delete that. And then I guess we'll send one of these armies down here. Not that it's a huge deal, mind you. Anyway, you can keep moving up there. At least the Bretonnian army will be up and running very, very quickly at this rate. Frankly, we're going to need Empire captains and stuff here. Especially for the Bretonnian army, to give them additional armor. Plus, we gotta have somebody whip those Bretonnian peasants into shape, after all, so it does feel like it makes sense to have a lot of Empire captains there. Anyway, it looks like that's it for the moves this time around, minus Dolph, who is still going to fight, and, oh! Ooh. A double stack of Zenshins against the Ruinous army. And with them being probably some fire resistant as well. Huh, that'll be interesting. That's actually one that Dolph would probably very much struggle against. Anyway, we're gonna fight this. Go.
Follow my battle schematics, and victory shall be ours!
Alright, I genuinely thought that this would be a minor settlement battle, and I'm not entirely sure why it isn't, so, well, whatever. All good. Well, all good for us, and not so all good for the enemy, because this is an open field battle for Dolph, and it isn't more than one stack, and it's orcs, and the enemy has no chance whatsoever. And Dolph moves forward, as it looks like some Spider Riders did manage to catch one of our units of Outriders, but we block them off with the tank, and then with the War Wagons, pop off that cascading fire cloak on the Frontier Watchers, and keep them relatively unharmed. Otherwise, we begin the withdrawal. The Burning Head and the Flamestorm move through the enemy armies. The grenades drop down on where the Flamestorm is going as well, and we stop the enemy in their tracks with the Tormentor Sword, which we have given to the Bright Wizard here. And it does look like some of the Boar Boys will get a little charge in on the Nordland Mariners here. But by and large, they're severely damaged and wavering and down to 20% of their HP, so even if they get a couple kills, one kill so far, that is all that they'll be getting. And by the looks of it, this is going to be a very quick fight, as the bounce power is already 90% in our favor. I don't think we even need to run and gun any further. The enemy continues to approach, but I'm not sure that they can reach our lines anymore. There are still a few Boar Boys out there, a few fast movers, but it's just not enough of a mass of units to move towards us, especially since we have high veterancy on Dolph's army now. And all the units are doing a fair bit more damage. Ooh, and look at that. With Ballistics, Calibration, and the Flaming Sword of Ruin, the double buffs, we've got our Nordland Mariners Free Company Militia firing at 129 missile strength. I don't remember what their base missile strength is. It's like 30 or something like that. Yeah, it's 31 base value. So with all the buffs combined, they're hitting as hard as Outriders are, which is pretty insane, considering their free company. But it's a devastating combination of buffs. It's the original reason why I wanted the Bright Wizard in this army, because of the buffs offered to the range units. But then obviously learned to my sorrow that it's a buff that doesn't follow our units and just stays on the ground, so you can only essentially use it once we're done moving, or once we're ready to form up lines and take the enemy's charges and whatnot. But it is really nice to see. It's a crazy amount of increased damage for these guys. Anyway, with that, the enemy army is done. They're shattered. They had no chance here. And, well, Dolph wins another day. Yeah, I definitely thought that was going to be a a minor settlement fight going into it, but I should have checked the preview. Oh well, and not a big deal, I guess. Is it because it counts as an ogre settlement? Outside of Wood Elf, Ogre, and Norskin, I guess it's because there were ogres here? Was it the Lazargs or whatever? It counts as one of their territories? I would figure that the Greenskins would know how to wall up to some degree in the mountains, but maybe that's just me. Anyway, Gnashrak's Lair, we're not keeping you either, so we'll build a quick little military structure and get ready to trade it away, and otherwise head southward with Dolph and his army. Though I do imagine that these guys will be looking to take out Raziak and Ungor fast as they can. But it's better that we knock out any and all Zenshin factions with extreme prejudice, so let's make sure that they're gone for good. Yeah, Karakadrin is having a fairly tough time, but obviously not as tough time as Thorgrim, with, once again, those 6 Orky factions and 1 at least Scaven faction that were after him. Anyway, I believe we moved everybody around now, so we gotta do 2 things. First of all, hero check. Let's see if we get anything interesting. Alright, I'm almost tempted to mill through one of these guys. It costs a decent chunk of change, but maybe we'll do it. 2,000 gold or not. Delete. I really want the devastating flanker for Kessel's army because the Knights of the Everlasting Light could really use it. Alright, engineers, we've got a Clockwork Spyglass, which is decent, Field Researcher, which is decent, so they could obviously be popped into the armies that need them, though the question is which armies do need them. I did want to get 1 more, potentially, for Elspeth. Frankly, considering the amount of range units this army could use another one, but considering it barely has any room for a mage, I am not so sure about it. And I still don't know what we'd take out, because everything here fits the theme of Hawkland, or Hochland. I'm not sure. No, we'll think about it until I am sure as to what put into there. Engineers. Wait, is this the closest thing we can do to Elspeth? I mean, we still have to deliver her steam tank. That still hasn't changed. Oh. But yeah, anyway. What kind of engineer does she have here? You are a what? Oh, you're a hazard technician, providing that ballistics plating for the Lord, which I'm still not sure is actually of any use to Elspeth, but it is what it is. Let's do the Clockwork Spyglass one, I guess. Pop you in here.
Engineer.
Starting at level 1, mind you, whereas this guy's level 49, so... Hey, you're gonna take a little bit to catch up, sir. You're gonna go here. Alrighty, then we will probably want to do... Oh, right, I never checked the Empire Captains, which still needs to be checked, as there are potential good ones there. What do we have here? We do have a Drill Sergeant available, which are nice. Assume Command is atrocious, so this is basically absolute garbage, Bannerman, but Drill Sergeant could certainly be popped into somewhere. Kessel doesn't really need one. The additional armor is not super useful on the Great Swords, and I imagine... Well, actually, the Sigmar Disciples ain't bad. Maybe he could use 1 captain. Wait, so if we give him a captain and a warrior priest, that will be only enough room for 2 Sigmarite Disciples rather than the 3 I wanted. True servant of but nonetheless, I imagine their aura that they provide is a 40-meter range, which means... Let me just try to find them in here. Which means... Physical resistance and immunity psychology, it is indeed 14 meters. Frankly, we don't really care about the immunity psychology on the Great Swords because they have that anyway. Certainly something we could use in that army that was just fighting the undead, as I was saying. Empire Captain in here? I guess we could. Somebody to lead the Great Swords, but it is sort of a holy army. The Witch Hunters will lead the Witch Hunter retinues. The Warrior Priest will lead the Great Swords. Honestly, I'm almost tempted to say 2 Warrior Priests. Alright, there's probably other armies, however, that would need an Empire Captain. Frankly, Elspeth's army could have used an Empire Captain, as I was saying, but what do you have? You have Champions, so we could do a Drill Sergeant to sort of stay with the Ironsides. I guess the only issue then is we need somewhere that's close enough to generate an Empire Captain. We have Warrior Priests out of here. We have Empire Captains out of here. Alright, fine. We'll give it to Elspeth then. Drill Sergeant. We'll need plenty more of these around anyway. Alright. And then you can follow her around until we build her steam tank. Now, building. Not Griffin Wood, not worth investing in. Bog Creeper Camp, we will upgrade the Cinnabar Mine and build up the defenses, but otherwise hold off on any additional investments. Well, we should probably build a town. I want to mostly keep the petroleum, but otherwise we're okay. Helmgard, Duckadoom are both fine. Duckadoom, you... Oh. Don't want to upgrade you right now, it's too expensive, but we will want to upgrade you. Cragmere is going to be traded, so we don't care about it. This place is presumably also going to get traded, so let's upgrade the shooting range here around Berikvar, and the rest is fine. Ulfware, I think this is misspelled, but anyway, Ulfware Coast, you are going to be traded to Boris. I might as well repair it, whatever. It's just going to bother me if it's like that. Mordheim, you are red territory, so we are not going to invest in you. At least not right now. You are okay, though. Let's pop in the paved roads and let's start the upgrade on the town. Admittedly, there is the issue of... you know what? Just build up the taproom. There is the issue of this place not being a full province until we take out Sylvania, but it's fine. We'll deal with it. Brovska, you don't need this, so you do need the weaving house, and we can start upgrading Brovska itself, and... just keep the farm for now. Grungzent, you are going to be traded to Britonia. Hanging Rock, you are going to be traded to the Dwarf. Soak of Prophecy, probably traded as well. Rosefells, we are keeping. So, Clothier into town and into... Yeah, I might as well just build the tap room there. Myrmidius Coast, you... I mean, once again, we should build this up, but for now... It's 3.2k, but we might as well get started on it. Alright, Mousillon. We are probably not keeping it. In fact, very highly likely we are not keeping it. Oh! Though, funnily enough, if we manage to acquire other territories, we might be, and obviously trade these guys, we might be able to get all the way to the coast like this, which might be kind of neat. Certainly something to think about, because it would enable a staging ground for anywhere out here that we want to send armies to. Especially if we make it into a military province. You know what? I will think about it. It's got potential, let's say. Anyway, Klessen, we can upgrade this, even though it's expensive. Langard de Lac we will probably keep, so Weaving House. Black Claw Lair we will most likely not keep in this, and going to ignore it. Quarry of Bone, I think we will actually keep. Weird though it may be, it'll never be a full province, but this is the only tusks we have access to. Plus tusks gives research rate as well, so it's useful in that regard. Castle Brionne, we are building, getting ready for that switcheroo. Southern World's Edge, possibly actually keeping. Doom Mountain's gonna take 6 turns, but build up those basic walls, at least for now, and then go for the tap room. And we may or may not keep them. Ashmere, you're gonna be destroyed by the Scaven next turn, not that we really care. Aldium, we are probably going to trade back to the Dwarfs, so ignore it. Ulfraya, we are keeping, potentially, unless we need to trade it to the Dwarfs in order to give them Karazakarak, because they have no contiguity right now, and that's an issue. Unless we get all the way around and grab the Skaven territories and then do the switcheroo via that method instead. Troll Country, gonna be traded. We're starting to rack up a lot of territory that's gonna be traded, but we're not really investing much in it, so it's not a big deal. Seathil, you're fine. Valley of Many Eyes. Fort Solace, I'd love to upgrade you, but it's too expensive for what it costs right now. Lamia we are keeping, so we are free to upgrade the Tailors Guild here. And otherwise, we will want to upgrade the towns to be able to build our Crusader armies. Weiler, yes, definitely keeping. So upgrade everything. And this is fine, we'll need a Temple of the whatever gods here. Go for the tap room as well. Golden Plain we're also keeping, so let's go for the tap room, let's go for the... just go for another tap room, might as well. They're not super expensive, and we can always delete them if needed, as needed, etc. You are going to have a Weaving House, Grenstad. Schadensumpf, you will need probably nothing for a while. Middle Mountains, yes. Tailor's Guild into an upgrade, into another Tailor's Guild, or a Clothier, and then you can go for the paved roads. It is a yellow territory, but it's a decent one because of the presence of the gold mine. So it's worth keeping. Oh, wait, I guess it's next turn, isn't it? Wait, just want to double check something. Heideck, you're fine for now. Hey, you're fine. What about you? We have a tier 4 Imperial Port in... Oh, we should probably get started on the gunnery school. Okay, I gotta try to remember to do that next turn. Yeah, you know what, we gotta prioritize building here next turn. I completely forgot that Nuln had gotten to tier 5, and there's a lot of good stuff in there. Alright, well, that's all the money we got, so we can skip, and check Diplo just in case, because their capacity for trade might have changed, which indeed it did. Vizaya and Sylvania we can ignore. World Walkers wants to be oh, wow, what the... Huh, wait. First of all, 23 second settlements, but second of all, World Walkers are no longer down here? That's interesting. Wait, so who's been moved to their place now in the old world? Alright, I guess Boris will be fighting Wulfric. I don't dislike that, especially considering that that he couldn't get Kazarak. And Vizaya's probably... Oh, they're gonna die. You know what? If they're going to die anyway, we could probably take all their money. There we go. It's 8,000 and they'll be destroyed by Deathmaster Snitch next turn, so why not? And that'll enable us to build up Nuln. If we do Defensive Alliance, they'd be willing to give us another 3k. You know what? But what if they don't die? It's a good 3k, but, you know, I'm gonna hold off on it. Sylvania still wants to trade, but there's absolutely no reason to do that. Defensive Alliances, not with anybody we want here. Wellity. That's great. I was not expecting that. Confederate. Go. He just lost all of his armies, but that's fine. They'll be back. Fantastic. I'm glad we were able to wait out on that, and I guess we're going to send von Kessel to deal with this, because I wager that the Huntsmarshal is going to have a bit of a difficult time. Now, the question about this is that 1, 2, 3, I don't see the elf hero. Wherefore is the elf? She wounded? Kalara, yes, 6 turns. Alright, now, out of curiosity... Okay, wait, no, you're just a regular dude. You've got Combatant. Just kind of terrible. Okay, no, you're out. Okay, Roderick Longhi. What do you have that's interesting? So, reduction for Lords and Heroes, Experienced Plunderer, Post-Battle Loot Faction-wide, that's pretty nice. Training, but otherwise there's nothing crazy in terms of any kind of faction-wide buffs or anything like that. My vow. Yeah, no faction-wide buffs. You have Junglist giving us growth, leadership when fighting against lizardmen, unit experience gained for fighting lizardmen, none of which is going to come in handy. Alright, so you can stay here in Newland. Newland will probably need to possibly need to defend you against Bellicor. Edwig Van Hal, let's pop you in here. I want to still take a look at his traits. Yes, where heretics lurk indeed. What do you have? Driven by Vengeance, one fighting undead. Diplomatic relations minus 10 with Vampire Coast. Anything interesting faction-wide? I think you've got... In fact, by the looks of it, you have nothing unique on you other than your traits, which is Executor. Just gotta make sure not to have you in melee so you don't cause these things. But otherwise, looks like a normal hero. Alright, what about you? Mr. Dwarf Man. Flash Bomb, Entrenchment, Restock, a Dig In, and let's take a look at your trait. You have Clever. Dig In, hero action cost, a little bit of free research rate, otherwise Resourceful. Ooh, income from trade tariffs and resources produced. And you need to be rank 10 for do that. You have wasted some points on... Oh, you went for Grudge Raker rather than Ballistics Calibration. Okay, we're gonna have to reset him because the AI wasted it. It wasted it all. Which I guess fair enough, because it'll... well, I guess we won't have the free points for it anyway. So you don't do anything, none of you do anything faction-wide except the Dwarf, but that's a pretty darn good trait. So, we will reset you, sir. Wait. Actually, wait. I don't think it'll make it one turn, at least I sincerely doubt it, but I am curious to see. I'm looking for... Oh, we don't have... Yeah, we do. Camp Follower. So if we do this now, and reset you... Valera, okay, yeah, now it's 3 turns. Okay, so it doesn't reduce his time wounded, which, you know, makes sense. I just wanted to double check. Anyway, what we want to do here is we want to get a temporary lord while Marcus is wounded for 8 darn turns, which is a fairly long time. Who can we pop in here? I mean, I guess we could do one of these guys, because we can then build an army, effectively, that would be the army, and that the Huntsmarshal will take over. On the other hand, this is kind of a waste because we probably won't need another one of these guys. Well, then again, You know what, like I did say, we could do another Ulrich army, and these guys do buff them. Yeah, fine. Nicholas Shielder.
Hunt and forage.
And you can't construct Huntsman here.
How to proceed?
Oh, wow, Huntsman? What the heck? You need to build, you have the tier 3 structure to build Huntsman? Are you kidding me? What is this? Are you insane, game? What? Okay, that's nutty. I didn't even remember that was a thing. They should absolutely not be on the same tier of difficulty to get us great swords. They are not good enough for that. But anyway, I guess you guys can pop into this army. In case Bellicor immediately attacks us, we will need to defend. Alright, ooh, we got some islands nearby, and ooh, we gotta kill this guy, and ooh, let's upgrade, well, no, man, it's not gonna do it too much for us. Now we don't need any more heroes here. I guess we will probably want some war wagons for Marcus, maybe mortar war wagon. Oh, you know what we could do, wait, Lauren. Have a nice little wood elf contingent, nice little dwarf contingent. As for what? Oh, wow, these guys are expensive as heck. I mean, considering that Marcus himself is going to have a ton of range units, maybe we'll do something a little bit different. Give him some war dancers, maybe? Wildwood Rangers also kind of makes sense. Just that the war dancers are significantly better, and the Azrae spears have armor sundering on them as well. Wait, are the spears the ones that have woven mist, melee defense -10, speed and missile resistance up to insane degrees? These guys instead have the Shadows Coil, which gives them +10 melee defense and +10% damage resistance. But it doesn't turn them into cavalry, essentially, in the way that the Azrae spears do get turned into. Good lord, they're expensive, though. Right, I have an idea. We might be able to... Oh. I mean, we could potentially reduce the cost. The problem is these guys probably won't want to... Okay, they will want to declare war on the Deceivers, but probably nobody else. Anybody that they don't like who's nearby? Wintertooth, how about that? No. How about Harganeth? No. Wait, did I... There's a reason I'm doing this, so it might allow us to reduce the costs of the... Yeah, they don't want to fight anybody, I think. Or reduce the allegiance cost of the units, because theirs are insanely expensive. Ugh. If we could actually probably force them to declare war on everybody just by trading one of these territories to them, but I'm not so sure that we want to. Alright, let's just do the Deceivers for now. Let's see if this does anything. I don't think it will, because they have no territory, and thus there is no border to share, and thus nothing to... get a benefit of. Alright, let's... I didn't mean to do that. Lauren. It was 73 before, right? Yeah, it was. It hasn't changed. I really like those Sisters of the Thorn as well. They would also be really nice, and we wouldn't... Well, it's just the ludicrous expense. I'm gonna say start with the Sisters of the Thorn. Go for it. Alrighty. And we'll see what other stuff that we can put in here. I'd like to put some Dwarfen units in there, obviously, but we don't have... I mean, we only have Karakadrin right now, and they don't have much. Well, let's be real. Alrighty, but we'll get... Well, we have some Dwarfen allies, we just don't have enough allegiance with them to bother building their outposts, so it is what it is, at least for now. I guess you could build some cheap archers and then level them up into huntsmen, but it almost feels like it's not worth it, and maybe it's just better to build this and just straight up build huntsmen for you. Alright, well, I guess we are indeed going to wait until next turn to upgrade Nolan's stuff, but it's all good. End turn now. Alright, Field Evolve Electric counts +1, go for it. I don't think we've read this one. You have caught wind of vicious rumors being spread about you, accusing you of being a secret worshipper of chaos. There is no indication as to the source of these lies, which of course have absolutely no grounds in reality, and are clearly political in their motivations. Though these accusations are both baseless and outrageous, your reputation is already tarnished, since many believe there is no smoke without fire. Should you decide to take action, it will certainly take much time and effort to reverse the damage that these lies have done to your reputation. Lead an inquisition. What better way to distract from your false accusations than to purge a true evil? Lovely. Alright, ally begins outpost construction while fails. Clan Durazgrund has been destroyed, but we were trading with them, so somebody else might be taking their place. Well, considering how badly damaged they were, or how quickly they got destroyed by Valkia, there was probably no territory that, or not no territory, there was probably no buildings that they had to give us units, so... It wasn't going to be super useful anyway. Hey, Cult of Sotek is alive. Good for them. Trade agreement. Yes, okay, so the replacement of those guys means we can now get a trade agreement going. We'll start with Vidrioth. Once again, just because it's a lot harder to get all the agreements with the Wood Elves than anybody else. Everybody else wants to be friends. Cult of Sotek, we can probably go for the alliance with you, and you'll immediately be willing to go into a trade agreement and give us a little bit of cash. And frankly, you're not doing so bad either, so happy with that. Alright, good for you. Alright, what else do we have here? Lucchini World Walkers want to non-aggress. I do find that amusing. Oh, huh, I guess they... I thought that the aversion would be much more, but minus 50, yeah? Not horrible. Anyway, Sylvania. Your time will come. Defenders of the Great Plan. Yes, the military access. Might as well do the trade agreement into the defensive alliance. It'll give us plenty of vision down here. I assume they're not enemies with the... No, they look okay. Alright, do this. Well, let's see what it looks like down here. And hey, they're trading with the other elves anyway. Alright. Now, they are holding the hills, but that's fine. It is of no consequence to us. Karakazor we can ignore, and, ooh, Great Orthodoxy has a mission for us, isn't that lovely? Still saving that, but, ooh, we might be able to trade now. Okay, first of all, Canute, you will be our target, and... How dare you take Abarash's name in vain? Let us target whoever's worth the most, because it doesn't really matter. These guys have declared war on us between the turns. Because they are silly. And, okay, all of the factions want us to kill Canute. Okay, that's going to be annoying, but... I mean, frankly, I was going to chase down Throughout the Unclean, and we probably still should. That hasn't changed. However, maybe we should just knock out the Troll King for good. He does have 3 settlements, but this is his main settlement. It's a tier 5, and might actually give a decent fight for Karl. Alright, Karl, you're going this way then. Why not? And then go in camp stance. It's not like the enemy can do anything about this. Like so. I don't believe you have anywhere to run. And at least we can complete those missions. Man, these Scaven are probably really annoying boars. Boars, you really need to deal with them. Ow! I forgot about Village. He also has a great defeat trait that Karl could use. There's something to consider. Anyway, you're gonna proceed down to Ulfenic. Retake it for a second time. And we got 2 more turns left of Forsaken Crown until our replenishment isn't as good. You, Kurt Sek, have nearly made your delivery of those land ships. Lovely. Now, I want to... Let's see, wait, we did this trade already, did we not? Wait, was there another trade that we were saving the military alliance with the Great Orthodoxy for? Because we do want the additional allegiance with them. I'm not sure that there was. We have all of this. We got Weiler and Fort Yakova traded, so I think we're good. Alright, let's just... Oh, right, we were waiting to take more money from them. Which gets now 3.3k, but just do it. I at this point, I think we prioritize allegiance a little bit more than the money anyway. Like so. Anyway, that was Karl. There was something I wanted to see down here as well. Okay, there's no other army? Alright, get ready to land at the Silent Isle, I guess, and occupy it. This guy's probably going to sail away, or will he, considering it is his last location? He will not. This is probably not worth fighting, to be honest. If we can kill, you know, as many Graveguard as all of this, led by the Red Duke with a lot more elites, then they have no chance. And it didn't even kill the War Wagons. Occupy, yes. Alright, and with that... Mousillon has been destroyed, and hopefully the Silent Isle will be worth a decent bit. Alrighty, Vampire Slayer, and then, ooh, looks like these guys did not take Torbidoos, which means Humphrey. I'm gonna grab that for us as well. Beautiful. And then you need to proceed up this way to deal with Grom the Paunch. Hopefully we can actually run into him in combat. Quick save, because we have War Wagons, and then auto-resolve again. It's gonna be every time, every battle where there's War Wagons involved. And hey, you got a Lichbone Pennant for us. Very nice, though. I don't think you yourself need that. We already have the silver bullets, which can target magical units, though admittedly it would be nice on those steam tanks. Oh, also before I forget, we want to build this, the non-gunnery school. And we want to build those other things up as well, but I'm not so sure that we can afford them right now. I want to make sure that we do stuff here while we have the guy that reduces the construction costs. And the stuff that we'll want to build here is get started on that Shrine of Sigmar. And I guess it's mostly military structures here, so go for the stables, why not? The rest of this looks good to me. I mean, while you're here, you can do the coaching in, I guess. It's a little bit more expensive than that. I guess you're going to have to come back here and deal with it anyway. So, you know what? Now you can go to Karlberg, return through Karlberg. Karlberg, we will go for the Imperial Port. And then obviously we need the Wizard Building. And I guess the Engineers Guild Hall out of these. I mean, obviously the Grand Temple of Ulrich would be nice as well. But there's nothing to get rid of here since Karlberg doesn't have a lot of space compared to everything. And I imagine, or the Great Temple of Sigmar, whatever. Wait, did I build the wrong temple here? No, okay. We get more mileage out of the Engineers Guild Hall because hero capacity engineers and research rate than we do out of the this Sigmarite temple. As unfortunate as that may be. Although this does give us the number of uses for Sigmar army's capacity and stuff. And it does give us control. I don't really care about the other stuff, but it does give us control. We do have a little bit in the way of military stuff here as well. Whatever. Just go for the Gunforge for now. I don't think the place will have a negative public order anyway. You know what? You can build the Council of Burgomeisters, and while you're here, we can upgrade Glimdwaro, so you're going to go right there, and then you'll proceed to the city north next turn to upgrade the Temple of Sigmar into a Grand Temple of Sigmar. Beautiful. Alright, that'll be really nice. And then I guess you can move towards Torpin and then build some stuff there next turn as well. Getting some use out of you, sir. Alrighty, Dolph. I do believe we've got a fight for you, sir. A really good one. One that is potentially very concerning, but I'm excited for. Let's do Potent. We could probably get 1 point in Piercing Bolts of Burning. Miscast base chance reduction, spell resistance. I mean, we'll need all of this. Cooldown for spells, miscast base chance for armies. Yeah, you're point hungry enough that you won't be able to get everything. And if you're not going to be able to get everything, I'm still thinking we probably want the Piercing Bolts of Burning. It's not super useful in this army, but there may come a time or situations like minor settlement battles where it will come in handy, so might as well be prepared for it. And Notorious's enemy leadership -1, which ain't horrible, but I think we'll just keep upgrading your missile capabilities. And this doesn't really do anything because it's only against the undead, which this army is, well, actually, funnily enough, I was about to say is unlikely to fight, but that's no longer the case since these guys have declared war on us. Go figure. Alright. Anything interesting here? We could go for Lab, but we may want to move towards Deadly Onslaught instead. Yeah, fine. Let's go for Gunsight, increase your damage. Well, or 1 point in Gunsight and then 2 points in Always Ready for the reload reduction. Alright, Dolph. This is definitely going to be a challenge for you. We'll see if you can manage to pull it off. Lots of range units, lots of magics, etc., etc. Valiant defeat, casualties high, and of course unbreakable spawn of Zenshin. So darn many of them. Ooh, and the massive slowdown out of the petrifying gaze of those cockatrices. Good luck, Dolph. Alright, love that Imperial gunnery. Here we go. We lobbed an easy fight against the Orcs. Dolph's way, and I guess it's time for him to take a proper challenge in the form of 2 Zenshin stacks against him. That is a concerning amount of unbreakable units in the form of those Chaos Spawn, and of course the flyers and all that. Let's see how we do. Obviously, this little enemy army is also screwing the enemy over in the sense that it's going to force the enemy to come in as reinforcements. And of course, what remains of this little, well, nothing remains of this little enemy army. This little enemy army is destroyed. But again, the real challenge will be the 2 stacks coming in. So, we're going to await the reinforcements. We're going to reposition, get a little bit closer to the enemy as they move on in. And get ready to start gunning them down pretty much immediately. There we go. Now, there are going to be some critical targets here, and while the grenades in the tank can feel free to fire at anything they want, we'll want to knock out that Exalted Lord of Change pretty much immediately. So here comes the volley. Volley 1. Volley 2, volley 3, and down he goes. 1 flyer down, but several more where that came from. We got cockatrices. The first will fall and self-petrify, and then the second and third will be targeted as well. We only have a limited time to do this, however, as the other fast movers, like the enemy Centaurs, are going to start moving towards us. Cockatrices kind of fall through the ground. Kind of interesting. Anyway, the Centaurs of Tzeentch will charge towards us, and now it's time to back off. And obviously all of those piles and piles of Chaos Spawn, but we got the critical units pretty quickly here. The fastest movers, the flyers, the slowers, the casters, etc. And now we're going to just try to deal with the rest. Our Pistoliers over on the right flank are trying to lead the enemy into the swamp, slowing them down even further compared to the slow that we've already got upon them. And hopefully with at least 2 of these, just 1 I guess. I thought there was a second one. Oh, it's over here. Well, at least 1 unit of Chaos Spawn being unable to reach us. There is a couple of units on Flamers on field as well, and we're doing our best to focus them down. Here comes the first. Obviously, we want to target Flamers before any of the Chaos Spawn because, well, a single volley from Flamers into a Free Company militia, up-armored as they are in the form of the Nordland Mariners, is still going to be extremely dangerous. Blue Fires of Tzeentch come down and knock out 2 of our Outriders here, but mostly do HP damage rather than model kills, which is good. Chaos Spawn is still attempting to charge the line of Nordland Mariners, but we're not needing by and large to move as yet. And we are looking like we can gun them down pretty well. Another Tormentor's Sword going to come down on the piles of Spawn of Tzeentch. Once again, a really, really nice item to have. Especially since it's been powered up, I guess, now that it's a green item. And in particular helpful with this army, especially since we went for Bright Wizard rather than Light Wizard, which, you know, with the Net of Amantalk would be generally the better pick for the run-and gunners. But it's working well enough for our purposes, especially when we choose to stay still and we get that Flaming Sword of Ruin upgraded, and then get ready to move the tank in and buff everybody up with another ballistics calibration as well. Balance of power has shifted to about 70% in our favor, though it looks like some of the Chaos Spawn and Centaurs have managed to make their way through the swamps over on the right flank. But the left flank is more or less ours, as the Chaos Spawn and Centaurs on that side have pretty much been destroyed. And the main line of enemies, Marauders and Demons alike, are melting away under the Imperial gunfire. And demonic or not, getting shot in the face enough times, or grenaded, is well enough to banish you. There we go. Alright, Chaos Spawn's still attempting to charge us over there. Whoa, 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 don't move like... Dude, what are you doing? Okay, I don't know why these guys decided to do that, but whatever. Sometimes units have... units with long guns have, or even pistols, I guess, have a weird sort of reaction to... hills and such, and decide that they need to move towards the enemy to fire, even when they really, really shouldn't. And that includes Outriders and stuff, it just happens on occasion. Not to worry though, it's not a concern. Most of the enemy Chaos Spawn are dead. We're just going to try to make our way out of there with the Pistoliers and gun down what remains of the enemy army. Now there isn't much. One last unit of Pink Horrors. Couple of units of Chaos Spawn. And we're going to charge on in with Dolph as well to block them off, who's up to, once again, 200 kills and 32,000 damage. The master engineers on those tanks are pretty darn impressive. Ooh, did you just... Nah, okay, I thought you did. I thought that they might have been able to kill a Chaos Spawn with sword strikes. Let's see if these two manage to win the day here, or whether the Chaos Spawn kills them. That is just the one. But at the same time, these guys don't do a lot of damage in melee. Let's see, weapon strength 36. Yep. Oh, there we go. With that, oh, I guess they did beat it. The last one, also slash a giggle. The last one dies, and with that, the battle's ours. Lovely. Really fun fight, but surprisingly effective out of Dwarf against Tzeentch, interestingly enough. I wonder how he'd do against the Chaos Dwarfs. Maybe that's another target for him soon. All right, I thought that the enemy would have a greater chance here, but alas, that was pretty darn brutal. I guess by and large, the Zenshin units that the enemy had brought were not long range enough to pose us enough of a threat. So good for our units. The Frontier Watchers, 21,000 damage and 22 on the Spurhawks, a little bit less on the unnamed units. Firstborn Riders went for 13k as well. Good for them. And let's see, we got 14 and 17k on the Dwarf's Desperados. Wissenberg's Welcomers still doing good. Should probably name these guys too. And so are the regular war wagons. Always fantastic. I guess we'll heal because it's barely any cash for our trouble. Enemy killed in battle, Dragon Helm, and I guess we... I was about to say, I wonder if Grimgor will... well, I guess we're at peace, I was wondering whether we could trade this to him for a ton of cash. I mean, it's a gift, so these factions won't like it, but I am kind of curious. But anyway, we'll occupy it, and then either we'll trade it or we'll just raise it. We're not going to hold a red territory out here. We will quick save this, however, because I don't trust the auto-resolve with our war wagons. Like so. Nope, fine this time, but there was barely anything left. Ooh, we could sack it anyway. Did we have enough range left to sack it? I don't know. I'm not willing to risk it, so we'll loot and occupy. Should have checked. Always should check. Anyway, don't collect the income, go for the host festag, I guess. How much is this going to cost? Yeah, 600 gold. We'll spend the 600 gold on building a single military structure. A barber surgeon, casualty or punishment. Ooh, some of our armies could really use that. And I'm just curious. This is Drakenmoor. You'd be willing to give us 10k for it, which is not so bad. Especially because we can we can gift it to them and then immediately declare war on them and then raise it. Oh, that would be mean, but it would amuse me, so there's a decent likelihood that we end up doing that. Man, Grimgor still holds a lot of territory, doesn't he? I mean, hardly surprising, but still kind of impressive. Anyway, let's see who's next on the menu. Gavin, you have reached Karezukarek, which surprisingly has not gotten an army up and running. And we shall see if the enemy is willing to sally out. So we'll give them a turn, but otherwise we'll build siege equipment. And the reason I want to let them sally out is because we'd have to fight this manually. Because of the wall building, we wouldn't be able to get a cinematic fight. So might as well give them a chance. Waldemar's good. Theodric. I guess you're headed down to Morton's home, though you're not... Oh, wait, are you in range? You are in range. Oh, beautiful. I wonder if these guys would be willing to fight, because I've been excited to get this army, you know, tried out. Empire Captain. You have for the cause. We could start moving through. We are the elite and esteemed combat. Well, you know, let's get hold of the line first, and then we'll deal with it. You can be on a Pegasus, I think, because... Well, actually, maybe you could be on... Well, no, we'll need you to be able to reposition quickly, because you're really the only one that can. You're just short of rank 8, so unfortunately we can't do anything with you. Alright, Baldric, we're now going to move Theodric in to help. I would like you to do this. In fact, wait, if we pop into trenches, we can still reach him. Good. Gonna need the extra ammunition and missile strength for these guys, I'd wager. Especially since we don't have the ranks to have them buffed up as we like. And yes, a valiant defeat, that's what I like to see. Let's see how the Hochlanders handle themselves. Go. Alrighty, here we go. Our first Huntsman General is on the field commanding the Hochlanders, and we'll see how well they do here in their debut fight with the combination of Huntsman, long rifles, and Gundermans, and all that. Now, the nice thing about the Huntsman is that they've got Vanguard deployment and fire whilst moving, and of course, anti-large arrows, so they can start dishing out damage to the enemy while our guns, which take a little bit longer to form up, well, and get to forming up. Looks like trolls are rushing towards our line, and we're going to cover them in oil. Somebody play the Pillarman theme, and we will gun down those trolls rather quick as the combination of guns and arrows obliterate them. Lastly, it's the enemy lord. Okay, I didn't even get the chance to say it. I was going to say, lastly, it's the enemy lord, but by the time I said the lord was already gone, and only one little Night Gobbo shaman remains. Unfortunately, Night Gobs have hide, stock, whatever, so we gotta try to find him in here. It looks like he's gonna sit still, and there we go. Poor little guy is gonna get shot up. He's gonna try to run, but I don't think he's... Oh my lord, that was brutal. Well, I don't think he's getting up from that, guys. Anyway, there we go. In the meantime, we've got the reinforcements approaching, but we didn't move towards them. We've got a pretty good position in the center of this particular map, a big old hill. Now, we do have very limited numbers of melee units, and thus it warrants not a battle line type distribution, but sort of distributed, or at least partially distributed, I should say. We are in a battle line, but just with wide spaces among the units and sort of disorderly conduct. No. Not neat lines is what I'm getting at. The idea is A, that units behind each unit will be able to fire at each other. B, by being staggered from each other, they will be firing at different times and start firing on different units, etc., etc. And if any individual unit gets charged, other units will be able to help them out. It'll mean a little bit less alpha strike. You get a lot of alpha strike out of the units being in battle lines, but that's alright. We do also have the Wolfkin here, which, similar to the Huntsmen, are buffed by the Huntsman Generals. And with 54 de melee attack and bleed and 49 with bonus versus infantry weapon strength, they can hit pretty darn hard. And of course, being unbreakable, they can hold enemies back to the last man. Alright, anyway, now that description is done, let's speed this up while the enemy army actually moves towards us. We do have a heck of a lot of range on our snipey Hochlanders, especially the Gundermans and long rifles. And there we go. Over on the left flank, the first of the enemy units have reached our range. We're going to actually sort of move a couple of the rifles and the huntsmen to target these guys, and we're going to move our first unit of Wolfkin to shadow the boar boys. In fact, since they're going into the trees, this is probably a good idea to send the Wolfkin in directly to deal with them, as the large units will be debuffed by virtue of fighting in those trees. Otherwise, Biggins and Black Orcs alike are moving towards us, but eating shot after shot from the Gundermans and the Hochlanders at long range. And as soon as they get a little bit closer, the Huntsmen will begin firing away again, but the Huntsmen are also dealing with the boar boys on both flanks. We can see damage there and damage on the other side as well. Wolfkin are going to charge on in as well and have found their first unit of boar boys. Now let's see how their axes... Yeah, I'm sure wolves eat boar. These guys should be pretty happy about this. Channel your inner Ulrich. Alrighty, well, they'll be taking care of them for a while, I'd wager, but we've got other things to focus down, and Ragnarok Spider is moving on in. We're gonna have to try to focus it with one of our units of Gundermans or snipers, whatever. As long as it's slowed down by that stagger shot from the Gundermans, it probably won't be able to reach our line. Otherwise, this battlefield, despite not being covered in trees, which the Hochlanders should probably feel right at home in, is a battlefield that is certainly to our favor. And the enemy is having a very difficult time both moving towards us and make their way up the hill. The big old Ragnarok will fall. Does look like some trolls are moving on in. But we're not actually charging the trolls with the Wolfkin. We'll allow the guns to bring them down and the huntsmen, while the Wolfkin try to intercept the units of Biggins. At 30 movement speed, however, the Biggins are significantly slower than the Wolfkin, which charge them in the flanks, and it looks like it forces them to shatter as well. The Wolfkin, by the looks of it, victorious against the first of the units of Orc Boarboy Biggins, and the second one is fleeing from them. The balance of power has shifted to about 90% in our favor. And we continue firing in every direction. Both of the enemy flanking maneuvers have failed. The trolls and the boar boys and spider riders alike are done for. The giant still attempting to move towards us, but between suppression and stagger shot is down to a mere 4 movement speed. As for where the suppression is coming from, it's from the officer squad summoned by the Empire Captain, which was another reason that we wanted at least one of those guys in this army. There we go with that. The giant topples the last of the Biggins' turn attempt to run, but similarly, they've got, well, it looks like they've got no chance here. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. There we go. With that, the battle is ours. The debut of Mr. Baldric Stroam is one of victory. We'll see how he manages to handle Gorbad and sort of more elite Orky armies as he goes on. Alright, there we go. The famed huntsmen of Hochland certainly proving their worth as they obliterate the orcs as they attempt to move towards us. Again, a single stack, not good enough for this sort of thing. The Gundermans, perhaps unsurprisingly, did massive amounts of damage, but I mean, I guess they're basically the long rifles, but better. As for the long rifles, it looks like the Nachtjäger came in first with the, well, I guess the Edgig Jaeger Corps following behind, but still losing out. Lovely. And of course the Huntsman, 33k damage. In fact, one of the Huntsman unit, just the one though, but one of them did more damage than the rest, and I think I know why. This one was on the right flank. This particular unit of Huntsmen spent the battle firing away at Boar Boys and Forest Goblin Spider Riders, which means it was making use of its anti-large arrows for the entire fight, whereas the other ones were not. Still, I gotta say that's pretty impressive there. Speaking of impressive, I really also like that Wolfkin unit that ambushed 2 units of Boar Boys in the trees and then sent both of them packing. And while it didn't quite destroy them, it did keep them there and damage them severely. And beautiful. Beautiful work. Not a lot of money. I guess we could heal up. We are going to auto-resolve the remnants here, so yeah. Oh, you don't have Siege Attacker. That's going to be annoying. Wait, maybe the other army does. I don't remember. I guess we're about to find out. We're going to need to... Well, I mean, I guess if any army doesn't have Siege Attacker, Hochland kind of makes sense for it. Though it does bother me, but what can you do? Are you able to reach Morton's home? You are not able to reach Morton's home. Oh, actually, you are just slightly. All right, go to Morton's home. You have a war wagon, meaning you should be able to auto-resolve it. All right, and just in case we'll quick save, because we have war wagons every time. And it looks like we're okay. The game. Why? I understand why the Wolfkin would get hurt if they're the main army, but why would they get hurt if they're coming in as reinforcement? The swordsman would have gotten damaged long before the Wolfkin even arrived. But what can you do? Occupy. Alrighty, Orcsbane, Scroll of Power, and another Extinguished Phoenix Pinion. Beautiful. Alrighty, and we're gonna pop that onto a mage. Any mage that's free. Von Kessel, does your guy have a Phoenix Pinion? He does not. Phoenix Pinion for you, sir. Everybody gets one. And it also provides nice spell resistance. Also, while we're in here, Scroll of Power, Wand of Jet, let's fuse these into another Forbidden Rod. Oh no, it's a channeling staff. But we might still, you know, fuse that into something. Wyvern Bone Bow I don't really care about. Asp Bow I really do care about and have lots of time for. I guess we take out the Sword of Might. Get ourselves a Sword of Strife, which is better. Scroll of Shielding is actually kind of okay. Opal Amulet's going to any of the new warrior priests. Engineer's knapsacks are We're slated for a particular army. Dragon Helm, I don't particularly like you. Enchanted Shield is okay. Spell Shields we can keep. Spotter, Spyglass. You know what, funnily enough... Let me just see here. Where's that Hawkland army? Forest Spotting feels like it makes sense for them, so we could give that one to you. Just to be on theme, effectively. So where was that? Spotter, Spyglass. You know what? Screw the Pigeon Plucker Pendant. Fuse that into an Obsidian Lodestone. Not bad. Alrighty, especially now that they've been upgraded. Master Ballistics. Technically, you don't need all-terrain vehicle in this particular army, so let's do that. Machinist preparations, a restock, and then start... Well, let's max out increased mobility, and then we'll move through to We Are the Elite. Alright. Looking pretty darn good. And what did we capture here? Tier 4 settlement. That will be getting some furs. Hawklanders should be pretty appreciative of it. And... I mean, do we need walls in this particular location? I'm not so sure. We can actually keep the shrine and keep the engineer's workshop, I guess, too. Oh. On the other hand, we should probably prioritize building the Wizard's Conclave. Yeah, fine. But we'll still keep those. Because I don't want to delete them. You will channel. You still need a mage, and I still haven't decided who to take out of your army to get the mage. I do think that the Empire Captain does have a use here, as he does provide a little bit of that extra armor to the Wolfkin, and gets those, gets that officer's squad on field. I really don't want to... I don't know. I will continue thinking about it until we spend the entire campaign with that army fighting without ever getting a mage. We'll see. It's a distinct possibility, knowing me. Anyway, the rest of this looks good. I think we maybe can let the dwarves handle the remnants of this little faction. It might be nice to knock out both those orcs and the Crimson Skull. But we've also got a lot of stuff going on out here, and Gavin might not be enough to deal with it all himself. Also, speaking of dealing with stuff, are you able to reach this? No. Looks like you're just short. I would like you to check what's going on over there. It's too well defended for you to be able to attack it. But with one of these armies moving in, you should be able to knock it out. And hello, you have here... Oh! The Barrow Legion are fighting the Ironclaw orcs. Interesting. If all of the Wood Elves and all of the Dwarfs didn't hate these guys, then maybe we could have actually allied with them, which would have, I don't know, been pretty amusing for me at least. But oh well, it doesn't look like that's going to be the case this particular time around. Elspeth. Still a pretty hard decision. It just depends on how many armies this guy runs into here and whether we start losing territory. While we do have more armies slated to come south, it will be taking a while. Can we risk these guys coming back? Will the elves be able to handle Khorne? Who are you fighting, just out of curiosity? You are fighting... Oh, you're fighting the Bloody Hands? We're kind of dealing with them, and the Ironclaw orcs. I would actually like you not to move towards Ironclaw orcs territory, because we need that for ourselves. In fact, that reminds me, Gelt, you need to loop back around to grab Toranrock. Frankly, I think we're just going to have to leave the dwarfs to deal with that stuff. Hey, they've kept Barrackvar. Alright, Elspeth, I think you're not moving that way. Maybe you go this way instead. I know that wasn't even one of the options that I was considering, but nonetheless, that's what's happening. Go this way. And then Tech Thief. You guys can at least act as scouts and keep an eye on what's going on all the way down here. So you're going to go here. You will proceed down to the Pillar of Bones. And we'll sort of swap positions in that manner. Alright. That's a little bit better. Emil von Corden, you are heading up to the Orky territories. That hasn't changed. Philip Ivan, you're fine. Leopold, you need to deliver these mortars, especially since it's going to be a while before we get Sin's guns. Oh, Kessel's, yes, Kessel's Sigmarite disciples are ready, meaning, okay, so you're going to deliver them. And we've built the Altdorf Company of Honor, the legendary halberdiers. We need to figure out what army to put them in. Kessel can't buff them because they're halberdiers, and he's not going to be buffed. Wait. Huh, a moment. And I know that they're only the one unit of halberds, but they're heavily armored halberds as well. I just want to double check something. Sigmarite disciples are buffed by Emperor's Finest, so in theory, he could have the one unit of Altdorf Company of Honor. Or actually, could he? Wait, are they even in here? Wait a moment. Yes, they are. Okay, okay. I thought it was blind for a second there. With a warrior priest and the altar of company of honor, that would max it out. But at the same time, it probably would be better to put another Sigmarite disciple in here. We got like a whole theme going here, or possibly a second warrior priest. But anyway, we got a whole theme going on here. And I think we should stick to it. Well, that doesn't change the fact that other than that, we will probably... would it be faster to travel by land or by sea? I don't know. Okay, well, you're going to go out to sea for now. You're going up to help Wolfhard out since he can't deal with the Albion Bull himself. And any additional units will either build there or something. We'll deal with it. Anyway, I just wanted to make sure that we move like this so that you spare us a little bit of extra money. And by moving to Karlberg, you are going to start recruiting Reiksguard. It is time for Kurt Helborg to be up and running shortly. Oh, wait, I just want to see one thing, though. Where are the Reiksguard in here? 1215 versus 1620. Also, we do have call to arms, so we can do this. Recruitment costs, perform. And we can make use of that. We also have conscription available. Might be better for Sigmarite disciples, or even something down where Volkmar is. Certainly another thought. Oh, wow, we can build land ships for 0? That's gonna come in handy for our Land Admiral Zintla. In fact, wait. Yeah, I'll think about it. Anyway, let's do 6 Reiksguard Knights here, and then we'll figure out what else to do with this army. I probably want to get a couple of other units in here, but it's essentially an order army. I think the only essentially 2 full order armies, that's going to be solely the order and no other types of units, are going to be the Reiksguard and probably the Knights Panther as well, because once again they have a big ol' order, but... Well, actually, you know what? We could do the Knights Panther, bring a sort of train with them, as in give them a couple of war wagons and then just a giant pile of Knights Panther Knights. I kind of like that idea. Certainly something to think about. Anyway, you are going to proceed this way, though you're kind of out of order at this point. Colt, you are going to return to Marble Massif. And, oh, we're going to have to do the switcheroo again. With all of you guys. Which is fine, admittedly. It's just that, well, you know what, I'll do that between the episodes, assuming that I actually remember to do it between the episodes. We shall see. Taking all bets. Anyway, Recruiter Albrecht, you are still waiting for the appropriate Master Engineer, but maybe we should start putting you into position. I could still use the ingenious guys as recruiters should we need them elsewhere. And I could just send you out there. Or we could have another guy. I was going to have one of these esteemed lords lead a all-knight order army rather than a Grand Master. Maybe because, you know, all the order... Oh, we also have another armor pedigree. I wanted you to... Actually wondering whether we should have one of these guys lead an army with Sigmarite disciples and army of Sigmar, or possibly Wolfkin. And then one of the other knightly orders. We do still have to do the Stubborn Bulls and the Knights of Moor and other stuff. Certainly a thought. Anyway, I don't like this army standing still, even though it's only going to take 2 more... Oh, I sent you slightly the wrong way. But anyway, you can catch up. I'd like to send this army out and get it moving, so... I guess we could replace Recruiter Albrecht, but you know, maybe we want... You know what, I'll deal with it later. I think this is probably going to be a good place to call it, so I'm going to call the episode here. There's a little bit of admin to do, like moving the heroes around and swapping some units around, so I'll do that in between the episodes, and we can come back and continue, try to hunt down Mr. Wurzag and to retake Gronti Mingol from the Bloody Hands, and then it's probably going to be time to declare war on the Ironclaw orcs, on whatever these orcs are, the Yellow Eye, and continue working on these orcs, and whatever else. And possibly on the Lamian Sisterhood, while of course Karl continues his journey in the north and picking up the defeat traits from all of the legendary units up there. And Boris is now on field, and he's getting ready for his invasion, or to help with the invasion, I should say, perhaps, of the... maybe you should land here. Help with the invasion of Norska. Again, we're not keeping the territories, but we certainly want to make use of them. Alright, you're gonna land here, I guess. Alright, and success, and the tech thievery rises as well. Hopefully we won't need the tech thieves. Oh, there's Wolfric. Ooh, yes, that's good. You're close to Boris. We'll definitely want to take advantage of that. Anyway, like I said, calling it here. More Karl to come, so stay tuned. Don't forget to leave those likes and comments below, especially the threshold for the longer episodes if you're into that sort of thing. All glory to the algorithm, and thanks for watching.